Okay, so let's go through this example of balancing an equation. So we have four things. This is a double replacement reaction. And again, you might want to start with the hardest thing first. The most complicated thing I see here is this magnesium phosphate. There's a lot going on here. So I'm going to start with that. One other thing I'll mention is that when you have this polyatomic ion, the phosphate, maybe treat that like one thing. So we've got a 2 there on that phosphate. So let's put a coefficient of 2 in front of the sodium phosphate. And then the best way to often balance these double replacements is just to kind of bounce around to the next element. So here the next element is the sodium. So we have 2 times 3 is 6 sodiums. So maybe we'll put a 6 in front of the sodium chloride. That will give us 6 chlorides. So let's find the chloride. We've got a chloride here. We've got a subscript of 2. So maybe a coefficient of 3. So 3 times 2 will give us 6, and that will balance the 6 we have over here. And then we have magnesium. We have a 3 over here. I'm going to go ahead and make a chart to make sure everything's balanced. So we have magnesium, we have chloride, we have sodium. I'm going to treat, again, the phosphate as one thing. So we have the reactant side, we have the product side. And so let's just double check each one. So we have 3 magnesium on the reactant side. We have 3 on the product side. For the chloride, we have 3 times 2 is 6. For chloride, we have 6 for chloride over here. For sodium, we have 2 times 3 is 6. We again have 6 over here. For the phosphate, we have a 2. And over here, we have a 2. So that one is in fact balanced. Okay, so here's our next example. Again, go ahead and pause the recording and see if you can solve it, and then come back and watch the solution. Okay, so let's go through the solution here. We have NH3 plus O2 to give us NO plus H2O. And we have, in terms of our plan, we have oxygen by itself on one side. Maybe we want to balance that one last, especially because we have oxygen showing up in 2 places over here. So then we have to decide, do we start with the nitrogen or the hydrogen? And the nitrogen appears to already be balanced, so maybe we should start with the hydrogen because it's not, and if we change that, it will likely change the nitrogen as well. So we have a 3 here, subscript 3 here, and a subscript 2 here. So I'm going to put a 2 in front of the NH3 and a 3 in front of the H2O. So that gives us 6 hydrogen over here. 3 times 2 is 6 over here. So that will balance our hydrogen. Now we have 2 nitrogen, so let's put a 2 in front of the NO. The nitrogen is now balanced. And the only thing left is the oxygen, so it looks like we're almost there. So over here we have 2 plus 3 is 5 oxygen. Over here we have 2 oxygen. We're going to do something a little bit different here, and this often comes up with oxygen. Comes up probably about half the time. We have an odd number, and we have O2. So what we do here, we're going to do this in a few steps, is the first thing we do is we write that as a fraction. So we have 5 over here, and to get 5 of this, we have 5 halves. So 5 halves times 2 is going to give us 5. Now we don't want to leave it like that. We want to have we don't want to have fractions in our final answer, but that's the first step. And then the next step is we multiply everything by 2. So I'm going to rewrite that down here. So we have 2 times 2 is 4 NH3. 2 times 5 halves is 5 O2. 2 times 2 is 4 NO. 2 times 3 is 6 H2O. So that is our balanced equation. There was a lot of steps here. Let's just double check. Let's make a table to count everything. So we have reactants, we have products. So for reactants, we have 4 times, we just, I guess, have 4 nitrogen. And over here we have 4 nitrogen for products. For hydrogen, we have 4 times 3 is 12. We have 6 times 2 is 12 for the products. For oxygen, we have 5 times 2 is 10. For reactants, we have 4 plus 6 is 10 for the products. So that is how we balance that equation. Okay, so that is it. That is the end of section 6.2. You'll get lots more practice with balancing equations on worksheet 6.2, so go ahead and feel free to start on that. If you have any questions, please ask them in the discussion board, and then proceed on to section 6.3 when you are ready.